Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Doug if you're new here. I'm going to be showing some new record pickups. It's been a while since I did one of these. Hadn't made it out to the local record stores in several months, since well before the COVID pandemic. The situation developed. I've been kind of waiting for a chance to get back down there. They've been open for a while. When I did get down, they're definitely doing safety measures, sanitize when you come in. They only let a certain number of people in at any given time. Some of them require masks, but it sure felt good to finally get back to the stores, do some browsing, do some digging, and the results will be coming up momentarily. First off, I got another package from my good friend Trish, DJ Trish in the vinyl community. Her awesome mixes arrived. Beach Time 2020. I just got back from the beach. If you're friends with me on Facebook, you may have seen we went on our third annual trip to Parksville, a little town on the eastern side of Vancouver Island, Canada, right in the woods, right by the beach, at a little cabin there. It was the first time there for our 7-month-old golden doodle puppy Mission, so he had a blast on the beach, roaring around, chasing seagulls, going for walks in the woods. It was a lot of fun. The kids always have fun riding their bikes and just enjoying ourselves there. So that was great. Beach Time and Jam-demic, some great mixes from the ever eclectic, hard-working mix master DJ Trish. Thank you once again, Trish. Sent me a cool letter here too. A note from the CDC. Dear Mr. Armstrong, we have been notified that you may have a case of reggae myelitis. This is not a fatal or deadly illness. The symptoms are as follows: the strong desire to listen to reggae music, the desire to turn other music fans on to reggae music. So she definitely put some fun into that one. Thank you once again, Trish. We'll be enjoying those mixes. It's a hot one out there today, so I'm trying to cool out in the record room, and we'll definitely be enjoying some tunes. Thank you also to everyone that's been watching and commenting on my recent series of Reggae Spotlight videos. I've done a lot of these over the quarantine. Kind of went on with the passing of reggae producer Bobby Dixon, Bobby Digital, kind of went on a late 80s and into the 90s reggae listening binge, the year he was from. In my tribute video to him, I showed the Flag Flown High compilation from Maximum Pressure, which came out in the early 2000s. These have just arrived, so I didn't get them to show them in the video. These came out in 2017 from VP Records. They have some compilations of his productions as well. Serious Times. This is 2 CDs with a bonus DJ mix, focusing on the rootsier side of his productions, as he was known for, with many of his key artists, Garnet Silk, Coco T, Buju Banton, and others. And they've also put out a compilation of the dancehall side of his productions, Extra Wicked, the great Bobby Digital. I was watching his memorial service, which was streamed live from Jamaica a couple of weeks ago. It was quite a while after his passing. Some great performances by his musical friends, Dean Fraser, the saxophone sax master, and Richie Stevens, one of the singers he produced, did a great performance. King Jammy is figured a lot in my recent videos. King Jammy's digital productions. Just before we left for holiday, I got these CDs in the mail. I ordered them from Dub Vendor out of the UK. They are actually from the Japanese label Dub Store Records. Jammy's digital productions, all got the Obi strips. This is the first volume, 2-disc set of digital dance hall with a second disc of the version sides, and it runs to 3 more volumes. Mix of stuff I did know and have already elsewhere in the collection. There's a number of different series looking at King Jammy's digital productions. These ones might be the best. Dub Store Records is known for quality, but they do tend to be on the pricey side, with the CDs including bonus tracks and being a little cheaper than the vinyl, which is why I went for these. So some great digital reggae as kind of an addendum to my other digital listening that you may have seen in those series of videos. On to the finds. This is one I was surprised to see at one of the stores I stopped at. I've seen this posted before. I knew what it was by some of the people in the vinyl community. I know my friend Kevin, who's kind of a Canadian music guru, has posted this one. This is a group called Smile. They're originally formed as The Smile, without the Y, in the Burlington, Ontario area in 1967. Gigged around there before releasing the single LP, which came out on Columbia label. I was thinking this must be a reissue or something because it's still in shrink. It was into the double digits, so not cheap, and the actual LP has got a couple of scuffs on it, so probably in the VG range. Plays fine with just minor surface noise here and there. I was expecting it kind of to be more on the psychedelic folk side, which it is not. If you think of Creedence Clearwater Revival without the kind of swampy element, Canadian groups like Five Man Electrical Band, opening track Glory Glory kind of reminded me of the Youngbloods, Get It Together, that kind of rock and roll, late hippie era, Back to the Land, Meat and Potatoes, kind of hard driving rock and roll. There's some kind of percussive elements on here as well. Away almost sounds like Latin rock. And there's a cover of Woodstock, which is not the kind of folky rendition you usually hear, but more of a fuzzed out rocker. But cool Canadian rock band. Incorporates a bit of brass rock as well, like another Canadian group, Lighthouse, like Chicago or Blood, Sweat and Tears. They have those brass elements on a few tracks, so that was a cool find. Another one that I found in the new arrivals bin of a local store. I guess it was lightly used. It was basically mint. It was still in shrink when I got it. Triomokato. They were a Brazilian group formed in the late 1960s in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Backed up singer-songwriter Jorge Ben on a couple of his classic albums, as well as releasing their own productions. This is a Mr. Bongo reissue from very recently, I think last year, a couple of years ago. Originally appeared in 1977, kind of a mix of very chilled out funk, samba, soul, great summertime listening, very mellow. They cover one of Jorge Ben's songs on here, right at the end. So Triomokato, very nice to find that one. I bought a couple of brand new records. If you've watched my channel for a while, I don't tend to show a whole lot of new music. Usually have my head into old records that are new to me, but there are a couple of new ones that get on my radar. This one I spotted in the bins and picked it up. Chewbacca and the Ancestors, We Are Sent Here by History, brand new release, 2020, on the revived Impulse label, classic jazz label. This is a 2 LP set, 2020 release. Chewbacca Hutchings is the leader of this group. He is one of those key guys from the London, UK jazz scene. Has his hand in a number of projects, different groups. Most recently I had picked up Sons of Kemet, Your Queen is a Reptile. This came out a year or two ago. I don't know if I showed this in video, but great LP from him. He is of a British Barbadian ancestry, so he brings a lot of Caribbean elements into his music. These young jazz guys, they're weaving in all these different elements into their music, different influences, different styles and genres. It's kind of cool. Sons of Kemet, very political, agit jazz, I would call it. Chewbacca and the Ancestors is a group he records with in South Africa, mainly South African players. This album features vocals by and lyrics by, and I'm going to try not to butcher his name, Siyabonga Mthembu, who is kind of a performance artist from South Africa. His words, his lyrics, and his vocals kind of give this music shape, but very political, has a very ripped from the headlines quality to it by this young generation of players, by Chewbacca Hutchings in particular on the Impulse label. Still working my way through this one, only listened to the first LP so far, but I'm digging it. I need their first one. This is their second LP. Chewbacca and the Ancestors, We Are Sent Here by History. Again, highly political. They Who Must Die, the first track, references to Rastafari, weaving in the Caribbean background of Chewbacca Hutchings, but again, this is highly African focused, though recorded in 2019. This seems like he's commenting on many of the events of 2020 so far. Definitely a ripped from the headlines quality to this music. Very socially relevant. Another new one, this is a group I've heard talked about quite a lot in the vinyl community. They've kind of been on my radar to check out. So when I happened upon this release in the bins, as I made my way through the record stores, I decided to pick it up. This is one that had been pre-ordered by a customer who never picked it up, so they put it back in the bins just shortly before I got there. So I was lucky to snag it. I think it was the last copy in the store. Kurong Bin, their latest album from this year, Mordecai. A lot of people have been posting this one. This is actually the translucent pink variant. They're a three-person group out of Houston, Texas. Their music has been described as based on Thai funk. I don't really know what that is or what that entails, but they definitely weave in different influences of world music into their sound, elements of tropical funk, of dub, of kind of psychedelia. This, as I understand it, is the first album of theirs to incorporate some vocals, which tend to be fairly sparse, sometimes in different languages. They have some French and some Spanish in here, but the vocals tend to be very sparse, very muted, while you have these kind of laser-focused surf guitar licks and lightly funky backdrops, instrumental backdrops, but very chilled, yet funky. I will definitely be checking out more by these guys. Enjoyed this one. If you're looking for a great summertime album, this might be it. What I find kind of fascinating about the current crop of artists is they're drawing from all these different influences that maybe you wouldn't have seen in previous generations when you didn't have the access to all these kind of genres of music. When I was growing up, I mean, Thai funk, I would never even have known what that was. Now you can go to YouTube or go to your local record store and you can immerse yourself in all these genres, and it's starting to show up in the new music being made, but doing it in their own way. And that's kind of cool to see. Another find from the record stores. This is a 12-inch single, Reggae 1, getting into some reggae now. Mikey Dread's Dread at the Controls label, 12-inch single from 1980. Paid up a bit for this one. It was into the double digits again, but beautiful, immaculate condition. Had a quick glance at Discogs. Wasn't really going to save too much on there, so I decided to splash out for this one. The A-side on here is called Break Down the Walls, which is a singing version. And then the B-side track is a more chatted DJ version called The Jumping Master, where he name checks a bunch of people involved with the track. King Tubby's are the dubbing master. King Jammy's are the dub plate master. Messed it up. Anyway, name checks, King Tubby, Prince Jammy, Scientist are the apprentice master. Great tune from Michael Campbell, aka Mikey Dread. You might be familiar with him from his work with The Clash. Started out as a radio personality, was mixing dubs live on the air late at night on Jamaican radio, mixing in jingles, had this great charisma, then was encouraged to go into his own music production by King Tubby himself. I did a spotlight video on Mikey Dread quite a while back. Definitely worth checking out that one. This 12-inch single features on his album World War III. Jumping Master's the lead-off track. I actually prefer that to the A-side track. Break Down the Walls, and good old Mikey Dread, autographed photo I got direct from him in 2001. So happy to pick that one up. Another reggae find at the same store. I got the Kurong Bin. Steel Pulse, this is their album True Democracy. I have this on the more common major label release, True Democracy. Classic album from them from 1982, but this is actually the alternate cover edition on their own Wise Man Doctrine label out of the UK. Basically mint condition, includes the inner. And strangely enough, I had seen this very same edition at that same store, didn't pick it up, kind of regretted it, and happened upon another copy at the same store. Steel Pulse, classic UK roots reggae band out of Birmingham, UK. Last reggae find, last musical find I'll show today. This was one in the bins at another store. It is the debut album by none other than Bob Marley and the Wailers, then called the Wailing Wailers. This was originally released in the mid-1960s. This is a reissue from a couple of years ago, 2016 or so, from the revived Studio One label. They put this out again with the restored original Jamaican cover. You've got a very young Robert Bob Marley there, Neville Livingston, not yet Bunny Wailer, Peter McIntosh, not yet Peter Tosh, plus the group at that time had the 3 core members right there, more well-known original Wailers, but it was also a larger group with less well-known members like Beverly Kelso, Junior Braithwaite, who does a lead vocal on one of these tracks, and comes with liner notes by Rob Chapman delineating all the different editions, the different covers that have appeared, and the different pressings in typical Studio One fashion. It would appear with different mixes, tracks swapped out, and Rob Chapman, the author of Never Grow Old, Studio One discography, so he knows his stuff. One last find, and I found this still sealed, by the way, quite cheap, so I thought I would grab that one. That's one I was missing from the revived Studio One label. One last find I will show today. It is not a record, it's actually a poster. I went to one of my local stores for the first time again in several months. Didn't buy any records, but in one of the shelves they had this stack of old concert posters from around town. And the one on top immediately caught my eye because it was Burning Spear, the great reggae artist Winston Rodney, roots reggae artist, September 13th at the Commodore Ballroom. Now the remarkable thing about this poster is I was almost certainly at this gig. I did a quick Google search for what year this was, came out to about 2003, 2004. How long that stack of posters had been sitting on the shelf in that store, I don't know. They had phoned the manager to see what he wanted for those, so I got that poster for $5, but I was almost certainly at that show and may have even been my very first reggae concert. There were a couple of ones by Burning Spear I saw at that venue. Time matches up just about right. I remember the doors were open at 8 o'clock, so I walked in there being new to reggae concerts, kind of thinking Burning Spear would be out fairly shortly, and ended up having to sit there nursing a drink for several hours until he finally came on stage about 10, 11 o'clock or whatever, and that's still early for reggae shows. So that was a musical education for me as a very new reggae concert goer, but definitely wicked show by the legend Winston Rodney, Burning Spear. I would go on to see him a couple more times. I think he's kind of retired from live performing now, but still out there, still active. So happy to add that poster. I got to get a frame for it. Kind of a piece of my musical history I was able to obtain, just happened to chance upon it. So those are my finds. I hope to have more for you guys one of these days. Hope everybody's doing well out there. Peace. Take care, Vinyl Community.